All right, so welcome back to Ultimate General Civil War. I have decided to put up a sister brother series to the sort of basic guide for the Union, and I'm going to do one for the Confederate side as well, because it is fun to kind of, I guess, redo history and win with the South. Before I do that, actually, I do want to kind of talk about generally where the difficult parts are for the South. When it comes to the South, I would say there's kind of a half and half split when it comes to attacking and defending. So for the South here, attacking, Shiloh is a big one that you're going to have to do a lot of attacking for. Battle of Gaines's Mill is an attack, so is Battle of Malvern Hill. So these three attacks in a row really suck. This is a defense, defense, defense. So these three are really easy. Stones River, I would say, is probably the most annoying in terms of attacking. This one happens over near Nashville, and you have to push into very strong positions. Chancellorsville is nice because you're basically going along with history. Gettysburg isn't too bad, nor is Chickamauga. Cold Harbor, I would say, is equally painful for both sides. But assuming you can survive these first few encounters and you get to Stones River is really the last large challenge, just because you're attacking entrenched positions. So, but before we get there, we have to actually, get through the very first battle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in and try and get some reconnaissance and training. I may just do that. There we go. There we go. So what I'm doing there, I'm going to do this on Colonel just to kind of walk through everybody. As far as my name, I think we can go with this. The S is silent here, so we have Trey Tour here. And if you say it 5 times fast, you'll understand the meaning of Trey Tour. I went with Tactician and Cavalry because I wanted my reconnaissance up to 4. That way I don't have to focus on anything else besides politics and economy, really, right off the bat. So with that in mind, let's begin. So, with this battle, it's different than the Union battle. You're not trying to hold Philippi. Instead, you are attacking a fort, which is always nice to attack a entrenched position. And by nice, of course, I'm using the sarcastic thing. So, the fort is lightly guarded. However, let me pause here first. So instead of capturing the fort, you also have to destroy 2 gun batteries, and in order for victory, you have to eliminate both them and destroy. So you have to do everything here. The quickest route is straight this way, and that's really ultimately what we're going to do. There are some enemy skirmishers. There are some enemy skirmishers in these woods here. I believe there's 2 units. Crocker I'm going to hold over here. This is a melee cavalry unit. Actually, what I'm going to do is just send them out this way. The overall scenario, the enemy fort it has the guns there, but there are infantry brigades that deploy from this direction, moving left to right, and the idea with my troops is I'm going to try and cut them off from the fort because it will make assaulting the fort that much easier. It's not going to be easy, and I can't remember if I've ever really successfully defeated the brigades that come through before they get there. I know I've caught at least one occasionally, which makes it a lot easier rather than these entrenched positions here. So let's click in. So you've got these skirmishers coming up. I don't know why they're charging. Skirmishers really aren't a melee unit, so might as well send the cavalry in. And Siegfried and Kemper here, again, I'm just going to push them out. And you can kind of see that melee cavalry aren't too great. They really do need enemies to be routing or low morale. I'm going to keep pushing Hexamer up. And Siegfried and Kemper, I'm just going to need to push them across. In fact, I'm going to run them across the little creek here. And Crocker, I'm going to try and get eyes on. When it comes to the Confederacy, their bonuses are the melee. I believe they get a bonus with melee. When their rifles tend to be, or their equipment is worse, but their skills tend to be better. They tend to be better trained and more experienced. And that's pretty much it. Their officers actually are, they have a bigger circle and provide a little bit more of a morale boost. Their detriments, though, are, like I said, in equipment. And as we can see one infantry brigade charging at our cavalry for whatever reason. If I can push these guys to the edge of the forest, and maybe I can destroy and rout this unit here. So you can see there's another one up here, but actually if they're going to come after me, that's better than staying in the fort. And if I can kite them this way, that would be ideal. Also, I forgot, I do have 4 points into reconnaissance, so right off the bat I can tell the enemy and I are roughly equal in terms of numbers. I can see how many casualties I've taken and how many they have taken. I've taken a little bit more. However, if I can get Siegfried into position here, it's going to work out quite nicely for me. And again, if I can kite the 2nd Ohio over, then I might be able to defeat the enemy brigades before they get into the fort. You can see there's no time limit actually here, so it is entirely up to me. And I'm going to halt Siegfried here on the edge of the forest. Again, the idea is cover is your friend, forests are friends, so I want to be, this is a really good position for me because I will take less damage in the forest and the enemy will take more damage from me. I'm not going to do anything with my cavalry just yet. I might come over here actually and send my guys over, but as I was saying, there's no time limit here, so the only real thing I have to deal with or worry about is defeating these brigades in turn. And if I can defeat them, looks like they're moving out that way, marching. If I can defeat them before they take up a defensive position, it's going to help me immensely. And I can focus entirely on destroying these units first, and then I can move on to taking the fort at my leisure. So I'm going to go see if I can't kite these guys back to come fight. I'm going to keep pushing Kemper, and I do get some extra reinforcements and supplies. So the standard procedure applies with supplies. And then these 3 gentlemen, I'm going to put them on the road and march them straight up. So now you can see that in terms of troops, the balance of power is we have them 2-1. And it looks like we might be able to get the 2nd Ohio to Kemper's not doing too hot against this guy. We might be able to get the 2nd Ohio to rout and be destroyed. But we're going to have to assault a position that is decently defended. I'm going to run. I want them to get into firing range. If I can get this 3rd Ohio to go as well, that would be awesome. I'm going to actually get them within rifle range and then immediately pull them out. And see if I can't attract them. Alright. Alright. Well, these Chetlin over there, or Chetlin, however you want to pronounce it, he's doing a number on Kemper here. I really need to drive them away. I don't want skirmishers on my back. So I'm going to charge into them and keep pushing with Kemper. Good trader over here. I think I routed that unit. I'm not certain. I was not paying attention. But I am going to keep moving. And if I can get Hexamer over here to do some flanking fire, then we can save more in Siegfried. Just like in the Union campaign, I want to save as many men as possible as a rule of thumb. But with the Confederacy, you really want to choose your battles carefully and save as many troops as you can, because you don't get as many men as the Union do. And so you're going to have to rely on training and skill over the masses and the that you get. But when it comes to immediately in this scenario, you do want to save as many men as possible, because once you take this fort, the second phase is to defend the fort from an enemy assault, and the enemy assault is kind of tough, especially if when you do attack and take the fort initially, you don't do so well in terms of trading. So now that I have 2 brigades firing into the 2nd Ohio, they should eventually break completely. Crocker is keeping those guys done, and they are now gone. So Kemper, I can move into the forest here. And again, I wasn't paying attention to see if Hexamer retreated. Yep, they did. Okay. So the 2nd Ohio, again, I want to keep these guys out of the fight. So just keep pouring fire into them until they're gone. And we could see that the enemy only has 1/3 of our troops. But the fewer the better for us. You'll notice that I don't have any cannon, which isn't great. Assaulting a position is much better with cannon than without, because they just give you some extra firepower that you can use. I'm going to keep pushing with the 2nd Ohio. Again, I have no time limit, so there's no rush for me to do anything. Um, so I think the scenario now is basically a story of the enemy has two gun batteries, and two brigades to defend, two infantry brigades, which is better, or it's better than having three, because that means that either this spot or this spot is going to be open to attack, which allows us to do some flanking, which is really going to be how you defeat any entrenched position as a whole. For now, actually, I'm going to pull Kemper back. And I really do want to route these guys because I don't want them showing up behind my back, so I want them to end up like these blue guys moving across your screen now. So ideally, we'll get them, either we can capture them or we can send them a routing and running away. I don't want to charge. You can charge with skirmishers, and in fact, you know what? I'll show you what that looks like. See if we can't capture them. Send in some guys. They went into the water, which isn't great. Charging really destroys your condition, though. There we go. We got them running. All right. So, the plan will be Allen and Kemper. I'm going to have over on the other side, I think. Let's see. I'm going to send some supply over. I know that there's a supply depot in here, but I don't think you capture it. I'm going to use, again, the Battle of Cannae is basically your textbook here of trying to encircle your enemy. And especially with entrenched positions, you want to try and get as many flanking shots as possible. So the overall battle plan here will be sending Siegfried and Bernie here. Canfield will be roughly in this field. And then Allen and Kemper will move around to the side. And we're going to want Traitor right in the middle here giving help. Heximer is going to be kind of a stopgap just to prevent the enemy from running away this way. We do have them on a peninsula here, so it's going to it'll be a, they won't be able to run away. And ultimately we want to destroy, and by destroy they mean send them routing like our friends that we sent off into the forest over here. So we're going to have to really put in some good effective fire into that battery in order to send them routing. So let us move these guys out. And Crocker is going to be useless here, except for chasing anybody down. But again, he's already this unit's already done its job. I'm going to send these supplies out to Heximer. So thankfully, I outnumber the enemy. In terms of brigades and men. If I were assaulting this position and they were stronger than me, that would be nearly suicide. And even assaulting a position with fewer men and with lesser things, they have a reload bonus and they just have a cover bonus. If I hover over this, you'll see that they get resistance, melee resistance, cover bonus, all that stuff. So we're just going to want to push. And in fact, it would be even better if I shifted everybody over and just focused on the 3rd Ohio here rather than anybody else. As it is, Kemper is going to be my sort of main flanking guy, along with Allen. Canfield, I think I can shift over, and in fact, let's shift over as much as we can. You can see that Miles unit that I believe was guarding this bridge, having them there does not help our chances at all. And these batteries really are a pain when you're assaulting. So in fact, what I'm going to do is, because I want my flanking force to do well, I'm going to send Traitor over here. And I'm just trying to pour in as much fire as possible. So that you can see that flanking fire really doesn't help your guys as much. And I'm actually going to keep pushing these guys forward and closer as much as I can. And I'm going to charge Allen in to try and get them off of that place. Hopefully Kemper comes back at some point. I need Traitor in there. And at this point, it's almost up to the gods. So we have routed the 3rd Ohio, which is great, which means that we need to press our advantage and get our guys in there. Hexamer needs to kind of put in some fire as well. So you can see how assaulting an entrenched position, not a good idea in any sense of the word. And once we can get the 1st Ohio going, then it's going to be a lot easier for us to deal with the rest of these guys. Kemper, we want, in fact, I'm going to run them up. There we go. So we got them to route, so now we need to turn our attention to just putting as much fire in as possible. Ultimately, these batteries are the worst part of this because they do the most damage. Let's check. Yep, Allen has come back as well, so we want to get him in the fight. And there we go. We send a battery routing. That's going to really help us. And Canfield, you can see, has taken a lot of punishment, as have everybody. Siegfried and Bernie are, in fact, doing the best out of anybody. Hexamer, I'm going to keep pushing, see if I can't shoot. See, they're putting in that canister shell, and that really is not great for our health. We have captured the 3rd Ohio there, which is actually really good for us, but we want to be careful because they can recapture these units. I'm going to send the 3rd Ohio to go hang out by Crocker if I can. And so you'll notice that this unit is, we sufficiently destroyed their morale, and they were low enough to where they just decided to give up. These men will give us some extra reinforcements on the main campaign screen. And here we're just going to abuse the fact that we can put in as much fire as possible. I really don't like how Kemper and Canfield took a lot of casualties, but we needed to take the fort, and that's the only way to really do it, is to push your way through with some flanking shots. and those batteries really don't help. So you can kind of see how these batteries are really dangerous, and they're pretty durable actually, which is kind of the worst part about that mission, or this mission. But we're almost there. A couple more volleys. We might be able to get the first Ohio to surrender as well. There we go. So we're just going to send them out that way, and there we go. Okay. So what's infuriating about this section is that the two reinforcement brigades that you just saw were in the fort don't actually get there immediately, right? Or they're not there at the start of this second section. And so in this scenario, we have two U.S. ironclad, warships, and we need to basically get rid of them. But overall, we just need to hold this fort. Now, I can detach skirmishers if I need to. What I am going to do right now is I'm going to put Kemper back, pull Kemper back, and I'm going to put Siegfried, the stronger unit, on the guard there. These two guns, I just want to keep them firing at this unit. I really don't need them until the Union infantry start swarming over. That's when I'm going to want them to turn around and start putting in canister fire. You can see how useful the reconnaissance skill is, because I can tell that I'm outnumbered here, and that we're going to get hit pretty decently by Union infantry pretty soon. So ultimately I'm fighting a little bit of a delaying action here, and I'm trying to hold out the fort until my two reinforcing brigades can run up and also reinforce the fort as well. All the while, I want my guns to reduce the ships down so that there's no longer any cannon fire coming in from that direction. But yeah, we're in a bit of a pickle. So Kemper is going to be our sort of backup. Once the Union infantry do charge in and try and do melee, he's going to be this unit is going to put in some effective fire in response to that. And if one of these units happens to rout, then they're going to go fill the hole. So I finally got Crocker and the other guys back once they make their way onto the battlefield. I'm going to use Crocker again as sort of the scout role. I should get those extra brigades back. But I believe the Union have two sections of guns, those two. We've already lost one gun from dueling with artillery. But if I can get rid of one of these guys, it's going to help me a lot. It's just going to make losing these guns slower. Though I keep forgetting, we should be able to hold this pretty decently. We do have 3 brigades in strong positions, and we outnumber them, so these guys should take a lot of casualties, especially if they're going to attack in a piecemeal manner. Unlike how we did it, where it was all at once, this should be a little bit better. And you'll see that your guns turn and focus on the attacking enemy as is. We get that nice reload buff. And there are some positions in the game, these entrenched positions in the game, that you can do really well in trading. So well, in fact, that like one unit of veteran troops can like kill thousands of enemies. What I'm going to do with Traitor here is I'm going to move him over just slightly. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw that I just got a bump in this line here. So I know that my brigades are going to be showing up in about maybe 5 minutes on the game clock here. When these guys do show up, I'm going to try and push them to this field here. I don't want them to be too exposed. Ultimately, what I want them to do is I want them to just be another sort of extension of this line of defense. And you can see they are exhausted. So I'm just going to march them. Canfield I could send in a run. But I'm just going to have to trust that my guys will hold. So Kemper is ready to fire once they get over this berm. Siegfried will be able to fire, as will Kemper. Maybe. Maybe not. Guess not. Hey, I get supplies too. That's nice. And we do see we have a timer now, so pretty much we're just waiting for this timer to go out. And we see that Bernie has routed. And they're putting in really good fire there, so we're kind of a little bit dangerous, in a little bit of a dangerous situation here. We want to push them out. Hopefully Bernie will come back real quick and reform, and then we can kind of use him as a flanking unit. All the while, Canfield, I'm actually going to run up there. And I'm going to tell Kemper to hold, hopefully give him a morale boost. And there we go, Bernie's back. And with Canfield, ideally, we'll be able to put in some fire into the rear of Terry, if not to hold Burnham so he doesn't attack us directly. So trying to move Canfield into a better covered position. And if we can get Terry out of here, then we can put Bernie back on this fort, or on this fortification. And that should be enough with our extra reinforcements here to seize the day. There's Terry. Okay, so we're going to put Bernie back on. And I'm going to turn my guns towards Shermer. And see if we can't drive these guys away for a little bit. And then we can turn our guns back on the ships. Kemper can put shells into them, or shots into them, so that's going to help too. And Allen can shoot Terry as well. I'm actually going to pull Traitor over here to try and help these guys hold a little bit. And I'm going to pull Kemper out too, just to give another sort of a line and to maximize my firepower. At this moment, I'm going to turn Cable back onto this gun, and I'm going to turn Merritt back on. Brooks shouldn't be able to push, so I just want to get rid of these cannon that are able to shoot at me. I'm going to try and hold on to Siegfried and Bernie. I think these are my guys that they give me at the Army screen. It's either that or Kemper. In fact, it may be Kemper here. Kemper and Siegfried, I think, are the guys that I do end up getting. So it is kind of bad that they are this low. But there's not much I can do to save the lives of the troops. They needed to be where they needed to be, and if they took casualties, then it is what it is, and I can't really send them somewhere else without losing. So alright, so we can see we almost have gotten rid of the USS Anacostia here. One more salvo should be enough. Once they do fire. There we go. And we're going to turn our attention to the Thomas Freeborn there. Not the Thomas Jefferson. And this will just give us some breathing room, ultimately. Because Siegfried's doing alright. 825 kills is great. That is just phenomenal, actually, for a unit. 502 is also pretty darn good. That is a very good trade for your men. And at this point, I think we can fast forward. I don't think the Union are going to surprise us anymore. They don't have enough men. All of these units, if they were to attack, this unit will break in maybe 2 more volleys. Alright, one more. One more? There we go. And Brooke is almost gone as well. Now it's at this point where, well, this is weird with that ammo, so we could probably bring our supply up into the fort and resupply them. Long-range cannon fire will make you lose some men, but it's not going to make you lose a ton. Maybe 1 or 2 every time the guns fire. But we can see Thomas Freeborn is almost out of action. And one more salvo. There we go. And now our guns can turn to more pressing matters. I'm actually going to pull Kemper back if he's going to be my... in the 1st Division, it might be the ones they give me. I'd like to get Bernie too. I'd like to get all these units because they've done pretty well. Canfield, maybe not so much. But now the Union are running away. And just to pad my stats, we can all retreat to the fort and wait the remaining 13 minutes out. And there you go. So it is a little bit more nerve-wracking, I would say. But as long as you as long as your first phase goes pretty well, and you manage to save enough of your men. If I had only like if all 3 of these units that I had in here were only 300 men, it would be a different story. But I had 2 that were pretty strong, and so 2-to-1 kill ratio is pretty darn good. You can make that better, but we're not going to be too pushy. So we got those prisoners. They exchanged for 750 more recruits, which is going to help, especially for the Confederates. And I think I'll go through the army building and then call it a day with this video. So with guns, my first instinct is always to do logistics. That gives me plus 50 ammo and plus 5 logistics or efficiency. Efficiency basically improves, you can see there, improves shooting, reload speed, and melee strength. You can get more efficiency based on command. And you can see that we've got just these 2 infantry brigades and the 1 gun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to veteran up because I have the spare cash. Actually, that's pretty expensive, to be honest. Let's see what happens if I go rookie. They do lose some melee stats and stats overall, but it is a lot cheaper, and you're going to really want to manage your money and your manpower with the Confederates as much as possible. And you'll notice that while I am using this 1842, I have much more. I have access to more farmers and reboard farmers than any other rifle. The Mississippi is decent, but it is more expensive. So this is the problem with the Confederates, is that they don't have as great of equipment. For first-time new units, farmers are going to be, the best way to go. They aren't the worst thing in the world, but you do want to make use of any captured Springfields and purchasing them if you have some surplus cash lying around is really going to help you out there. I'm going to put money into actually my economy, and that might help me out a little bit here with Kemper. You can see if I put these up to veteran, it would take out nearly all my money. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do rookie. It will remove the veteran effect here, but in 5 experience points they'll be back up to where we had them anyway. We'll put Canfield there. I'm going to get another infantry brigade, I think, and I'm just going to use farmers on them. And over here, I guess we'll start off with a unit of skirmishers. Hunters aren't the best thing in the world. I think their range is a little bit better than effective range 230 for the Sharps model and effective range 450, so you can stand them off a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get them, and I'm going to bump these up to 200. And I only have 72 guys, which is going to really suck. Now, here I could have taken my reputation and bought either the Springfield or the Mississippi. The Mississippi is a better rifle. I don't think it has as much in terms of melee. Not too bad, actually. It has a farther range. Slower by a little bit. But it is more accurate. It just has less damage because it's a smaller caliber round, I believe. Yep, 69 caliber to 58 for the Mississippi. It's really up to you when it comes to your units, what you want to give them. I could actually probably toss in an artillery brigade, but I don't even have enough men for that. These I'm going to keep. I could sell them because they would give me some money, but having 120 of these Over time, I will get more of them by defeating the Union. You'll capture more of these rifles, and this is a much better rifle than anything that I can produce now. I might sell these. In fact, I will, because I hate melee cavalry. Because I have some extra cash, I'm going to put some into supply. And I'm really going to want to fight this Newport News. But I believe, just like with the Union, for these two battles, you are going to get... the computer will give you some spare troops. But for now, before I go into that, I'm going to call it a day on this video. So check out the next one. Hopefully I've kind of given you some good ideas as far as the Confederates. But really, the Confederacy campaign is all about conserving your men and making max use of money and manpower. But more on that in the next video.